All right. Hey guys, Mr. Kyle, Myers Mathematics, and let's just jump right into it. So, adding positive and negative numbers. I cannot tell you how important this is to be able to do this. So many people get this messed up. It's just crazy. So, I'm going to actually do a couple different methods on here for this. And just kind of like walk you through each of the different ways that you can do this. If I missed a method, if you know another way to add and subtract, positive and negative numbers here. It just says adding. So right now it's just adding, but if you're adding negative numbers, sometimes it really means that you're subtracting. So you have to be really careful when you're dealing with integers of any kind. But let's start off with the first method. And again, let me know in the comments if I missed a method, if you have another way to do these. But one of the ways you can do them is with a number line. Excuse my terrible number line. But so let's start here at 0, and we'd go back 7 spaces. So this means left 7. So if it's negative, you go left. If it's positive, you go right. So left 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's negative 7. And then I add 9. So I go right by 9 spaces from where I just left off, which is at negative 7. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I go right 9 spaces. So I need to make a few spaces here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here it is, which is 2 spaces away from 0. So my answer is 2. Right? This is a little bit longer of a method. I wouldn't recommend doing this in the long run. I would just recommend, like, if you're just starting out with positive and negative numbers, to do it this way, because it helps you to understand why, one of the reasons why the number answer is the answer it is. So let's do it one more time here. So we do 0, and I would go left 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's negative 8. And then I go left again. Left by 1. So left 1 more, which is negative 9. Right? So 2 and negative 9. Okay. Okay. Let's try it again, but we'll go a little bit faster here. Let's do a different color. Yeah, teal works. Teal looks blue to me, but people say it's like a bluish green. I don't know why. I must be colorblind. Let's see. So we'll start at 0. 0. And then we go just left 1 space. Left 1 space. So negative 1. And then we go right 5 spaces. So from negative 1, 1, a 2, a 3, 4, 5. Well, where is that? 1, 2, 3. That's at 4. So 4 is the answer. All right. And for the speed round, we've got 0 here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the answer to that one. And that is how you use the number line method. All right, so let's move on to a green here. Dark green. I like dark green. So let's move on to another method. This one I like to call the smiley face method. So here's why I like to call it the smiley face method. We do plus plus is happy. Plus minus got beat up. Minus plus also got beat up. But minus minus is happy. So happy he's squinting. So this is what this means. When I have plus and plus, that means the signs of the numbers, right? So plus and minus the i's. So I'm going to write what that means off to the side here. The i's are the signs of the numbers. Okay? And then the face is what you're actually doing. The face is whether you add, spelled add with 3 D's. Whoops. Forgot to add the right amount of D's. All right. Get rid of that extra D there. Nope. Highlight, draw. There we go. The face is whether you add or subtract. Come on. Put a T in there. And that is how you use the smiley face method. So, plus, plus, minus, minus. The face is happy. If it's a plus, minus, or a minus, plus, he looks like he got beat up. He's got a black eye or something, you know? So he's not happy. He's not a happy guy. So we would subtract. Okay, well, we have a -8 and a -5 here. So we have two negative signs, which means that happy face, right here, we're going to add. Okay, so what you do is when you add, you ignore the signs. Okay, if you add two positive numbers, you get a bigger positive number. If you add two negative numbers, you get a bigger negative number. Don't confuse the other rules about multiplying negative numbers. Okay, when you multiply negative numbers, you get a positive number. When you add negative numbers, you get a bigger negative number, like what we did on number 2. -8 plus -1 is -9. It's still negative. It's not positive 9. Right? Like another way to think about it would be like if you owe somebody $8 and then you're like, hey, can I have $1 to like go buy something from the soda machine or something? They're like, hey, can I borrow $1? Well, now you owe them $9. You don't like all of a sudden not owe them any money and they owe you $9. Like that's not how the money works. So the same is true here. If we have minus minus, we're going to add the two negative numbers, 8 plus 5. Just ignore the signs. 8 plus 5. Okay, what's that? Well, add 8 to 5. You can count on your fingers if you want to. 8, you go 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But it would be -13. It would be -13 because I'm adding two negative numbers. Okay? All right, number 6. Here's what you can do here is whenever the signs are different, you know you're subtracting. So just subtract the bigger number into the smaller number and then get the answer. And sometimes the smaller number is first and the bigger number is second, and it looks kind of weird, so I'll show you what to do with that in a second. But this one is a positive. If there's no sign, it's a positive sign. BT dubs. So it's a positive 11. It's a -2. We're going to subtract. This is actually the same thing as 11 minus 2, by the way. If I put 11 plus -2, that's the same thing as 11 minus 2. Okay? I'm going to subtract them. So I'm going to subtract 11 and 2, which is 9. And that's it. Okay. Let's go back to green. The reason I changed to black is because I was like, well, if I use green, then I feel like I'm going to have to use green for the plus signs and like red for the minus signs, and then that's just going to take a while, so I don't know. I might do it again on another one here. But here, let's just look at this here. So we have plus, we have minus. So we're going to be subtracting. That's that guy right there. We're going to be subtracting. So 49 minus 15. What's that? All right, well, you can bring it over here if you want to. Minus 9 minus 5 is 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. There's your answer. Okay, this one. This one is a little bit different, right? Because the bigger number is negative. Okay, and you're not used to that. When you first learn about subtraction, way back in kindergarten or maybe even pre-K, you learned to subtract the bigger number into the littler number, if that's even a word, and you get, some sort of positive answer. Well, here, that's not going to happen. But that doesn't mean that we can't subtract the bigger number into the littler number. We actually still can. And here's what we can do to fix this. So I know that I'm subtracting, right? I know that I'm subtracting because I have a minus and I have a plus. So I know I'm subtracting, but there's nothing stopping me from saying 47 minus 30. That's fine. You can do that. Just remember that if I do 47 minus 30, I need to make my answer the negative version of that. because 47 is negative, I'm going to do what's called taking the sign of the bigger number, okay? So when subtracting, if I can fit all that in there, sort of. When subtracting, take the sign, meaning the plus or the minus sign in front of that sign, in front of that number. When subtracting, take the sign of the bigger number. Okay, so 47 minus 30. All right, well, 7 minus 0 is 7. 4 minus 3 is 1. Well, it's not 17, though. Careful. We need to take the sign of the bigger number. So the answer is negative 17. Whew. Okay, that was a little bit harder. But let's see what that looks like on the next one. On the next one, we actually don't need to do that. Let's continue to change colors of green here just because I can. So this one actually is just 49 minus 27. It's positive. That's negative. So we subtract. Well, actually kind of doing the same thing here almost. It's 49 minus 27. So 9 minus 7 is 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. The answer is 22. That's it. I don't have to change the sign because 49 is positive. I didn't have to flip anything to set up my subtraction thing. Over here, I did have to change the sign. The sign was negative. I changed it to positive to set up my subtraction. So that's why I had to take the opposite of my answer. Okay, so same thing here actually, right? Because technically, if you subtracted in order, it would look like this, right? But that's not going to make any sense. And in fact, sometimes if you try to do it this way, it'll just totally be wrong. Okay, so this is not how you do it. You want to just subtract it the way you would normally subtract two numbers, the big number minus the little number. But remember, if you have to change the sign, so that it becomes a regular subtraction, then just change it back when you're done. Okay, don't forget to though. So that's 20, which means my answer is negative 20. There we go. Okay, let's change colors again, because why not? 43 plus negative 1. I'm going to be subtracting. All right, so plus. Let me go ahead and I'm going to do the thing. So here we go. Happy face. And we need a deep red color to contrast that green. This is what I was talking about earlier. I was like, if I use green, I'm going to have to use red to, pair with it. But I didn't, and now I just did. Okay, so yeah. Minus signs and unhappy faces are red. Happy eyes and happy faces are green. So if I have a plus minus, I'm going to be subtracting. Ooh, you know what? I just realized I put the minus and the plus in the same order. Silly me. Hold on. Let me fix that real quick. This would be plus minus. That's better. Okay. So we can use the smiley faces to our advantage. Now, there's actually another way to do what we're basically doing with the smiley faces, and that is to remember this little rule. And again, I'm doing a bunch of different methods because integers are just hard sometimes. All right? So if you've ever struggled with putting integers together, I don't care who you are, you could be in pre-calc watching this and you're like, oh yeah, I mess up with the integers all the time. It happens to like everybody at every level. So this is really not for Algebra 1 only. This is for everybody because I see so many people miss these sorts of things because of the signs. The signs throw people off. It's the first of my 5 reasons why people miss math problems on my awesome guide that is for free on my website, myersmathematics.com. So you haven't already gotten that guide, go ahead and go check that out. I'll give you a spoiler. The first one is minus signs. People miss minus signs a lot, and it causes them to miss the problem. So, yeah, minus signs. Got to watch out for those. But anyways, number 11 is just 43 minus 1. I'm just going to subtract 43 and 1, which is 42, which is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. Oh, now we've got 3 numbers. Oh, okay. Well, it's no different. You just do them one at a time. Don't try to add or subtract up 3 or more numbers at once, unless you've gotten a lot of practice and you feel really confident. And then, even then, I would probably just like go back and check my work on a test or a quiz and do them like all one at a time anyways, just to make sure I didn't miss something. Because when you add more than 2 numbers at once, you're just more likely to get the problem wrong. So I wouldn't chance it on our test or a quiz. I would just add them up one by one. 10 plus -2. Okay. Well, also notice that we're just plussing a bunch of stuff, right? So I'm plussing this, and I'm plussing this. Again, I don't use proper grammar all the time. But we're plussing a bunch of stuff here. So I don't have to do 10 plus -2 first. I could actually do 10 plus 1 first. So if it makes more sense to you to add up all the positive numbers first, I actually like to do it this way. I'm not going to show you it this way. I'll just let you kind of explore this on your own maybe. But I like to add all the positive numbers first and then all the negative numbers second. And then from there, I'll just do one subtraction. I like to do it that way. But let's not do it this way on this one. Let's just do it the regular way. But notice we're just going to do 10 minus 2 here. That's just 10 minus 2. I'm going to be subtracting. The signs are different. So that's 8. And then I still have to do 8 plus 1, which is 9. Okay. Next color. Yellow. So -2 plus 11. Oh, okay. Well, here's what you want to do. You know you're subtracting, so you subtract the bigger number into the littler number. But notice I didn't have to change the sign of the 11 to subtract those. The signs are different, so I subtract. I subtract the big into the little, but notice the 11 is positive anyway, so I don't need to change the sign of my answer. And then I just add 4 to it because I left this 4 out. And now I'm adding up my answer with the 4 and I get 13. Okay, so maybe I will go ahead and show you the way I like to do these. Because I like to add up all the positive numbers first, which we would do anyways on this one, right? So 12 plus 7 is 19. I'm just adding 2 positive numbers, right? So, I know you're kind of in like integer mode right now, but it's like they're just asking you what 12 plus 7 is, And then we're gonna put that -4 next, right? So that's negative. We're gonna subtract, so we just subtract, and I didn't have to change the sign of the 19, so I don't have to change the sign of the answer. The answer is 15. Okay, let me show you this method that I do here. So instead of doing -7 plus 3 first, since I'm plussing a bunch of stuff, I'm actually just going to plus these guys. 12. Okay? So I just plus those guys. 9 plus 3 is 12. -7 plus 12. Hey, signs are different, so I'm going to subtract. So it's 12 minus 7, which is 5. All right, same thing over here. I'm going to add those guys up first, so 16. And then I'm subtracting. The signs are different. I have a minus plus. That's an unhappy face. I subtract. I didn't have to change the sign of the 16, so I don't need to change the sign of the answer. Now, I've been mentioning this already, but let me write this off to the side here. This is another little way to remember what we're doing here. And that is when the signs are the same, so when signs are the same, we add. So, 2 plus 3 is 5. Okay, that's pretty basic. But -2 plus -3 is -5. We add them up because they have the same sign. When the signs are the same, we add. When signs are different, then we subtract. We subtract. When signs are the same, we add. When signs are different, we subtract. That's another way to think about it. It's basically the smiley faces, but without writing out the smiley faces. So when the signs are the same, we add. Well, this is just 2 plus 10, so let's do that first. 12 plus -10 plus 10. And then notice I'm still plussing a bunch of stuff, so I can actually just add these guys now. 22. Now I'm subtracting. I have -10 plus 22. I'm subtracting. I subtract the bigger into the littler. And that's 2. That's 1. And I'm done because I didn't have to change the sign of the 22. Only when you have to change the sign do you have to make it negative. Okay, this one's really interesting. This is the first time we actually get to do this method where you can see how cool this method is. Because otherwise, I would have to subtract these, right? So this would be subtract, and that would be subtract. Actually, 5 plus negative 5 is 0, so I could probably just get rid of that. But let's do this other method anyways, right? So if you notice that two signs are opposite signs but the same number, you can actually just slash them. But I'll probably get another chance to do that on another problem, and so I will. But check this out. So I can actually add up the positive numbers first. So instead of subtracting twice, I can just add 10 plus 5, and then add negative 11 and negative 5, which is negative 16, and then I can subtract those. I'm going to subtract. So remember, when you subtract the bigger into the littler. But notice I had to change the signs, right? I did 16 minus 15 because that's how you normally do subtraction. But I had to change the sign of the 16, so I need to change my sign of my 1, so I get negative 1. You could have also gotten that by slashing the 5s, right? So slash the 5s, and you get 10 plus negative 11, which I would do 11 minus 10 is 1, and then change the sign to negative 1. Okay, we're almost done. We're getting to the last leg here. So thanks for sticking with me so far here. These integers can be really tough. That's why I like to show you guys a lot of different methods, and then whichever one you like the best. I mean, really, I'm showing you all the best ones. So if you know any others that are really good, let me know in the comments. But these are all of the best ways I know of to add and subtract integers. So let's go ahead and add these up here. So that's 8 plus negative 7 plus 10. Okay. Now, let me go ahead and just revert back to my other method. So what I've been doing is I've been only adding up the positives and then only adding up the negatives, especially like on number 18. But you don't have to do it that way. I can just do subtraction next. That would be 8 minus 7, which is 1. 1 plus 10 is 11. Okay. So again, there's a bunch of different ways to do this, and there's out of all the ways that I'm showing you, there's no wrong way to do this. I mean, there's plenty of wrong ways to do math, but out of all the ways that I'm showing you, I really don't think there's any one method that's better than the other, except for the line thing. At the very beginning, I would not recommend using a number line every single time you have to do integers. Yeah, that would just be like a temporary thing, so you can get the visual of what's going on. Here I would add, right? Same signs, so I'm going to add. 8 plus 5 is 13. It's going to be a negative, though, because I'm adding two negatives. Plus negative 2 plus 1. And actually, when you have a bunch of things added up, here's another thing you can do. You can actually go ahead and put together pairs of numbers. You don't have to wait. So this would be 2 minus 1. I'm going to be subtracting because the signs are different. So that's just 1. But I had to change the sign on the 2, so that's negative 1. These are both the same sign, so negative 14. Okay. Let's go ahead and round this off. So in the last couple things here, I'm gonna just not really do a method so much. It's just kind of like demo what it would look like for me to put them together. So I'm not gonna show any more methods from here on out, any different ways to do this. I'm just gonna kind of knock the rest of these out here. So I would just kind of put this off to the side. They're both negative, so I'm going to add 7, 6, 7, 8. So 8.7, and that's negative. Here, you want to be careful with the signs. I am going to be subtracting, but you always do the bigger number first. And you want to line up those decimals. Super important when you're subtracting or adding decimals to line up those decimals. But you only have to do that when you're adding or subtracting. So here I'd have to borrow. That would be 1 after I borrow some. That'd be 9, that'd be 10. So then that's 1, I have to borrow some more. So then that's 8. And I get that. But I had to change the sign on the 4, so my answer is negative. Ooh, that was a tough one. Okay, purple next. 23. That's going to be negative 4.7 and 5.7, so that's just going to be 1. I would subtract those. I'm going to add those. That's 12.1. I'm going to, let's see. Yeah, we'll go ahead and add these two right here first. So 3 and 7 is 10, and then I would have to carry, so 11.7 and 7.1. I'm going to have to subtract those, so 11.7 and 7.1, 6, and then 7 from 11 is 4. I had to switch the signs. This is positive, by the way. I had to switch the signs, though, so that's going to be negative. All right. Those two are pretty close, actually. That's just going to be 0.4. They're only 0.4 away from each other, and I'm subtracting, so 4 plus 3.4 is 3.8. And I'm done there. Change colors. Like a deeper purple. Okay. So then we've got a bunch of negatives, so I'm just going to add them up all at once. 1 and 6 make 7. And then I have 7, 1, and 2. 7 and 2 is 9, and 1 is 10. So I get that. And over here, I want to be careful because I've got a double-digit decimal over here. So 0.85 and 2.4 and 4. Oh, you know what? And one of them is negative, so I want to be really careful here. Actually, I almost messed up that problem. Okay, hold up. So I've got let's do the 4.5 and the 0.85. Here we go. Okay, so 5. That's going to be 13. So then that, and then I would subtract the 2.4. There we go. Okay, so that's 5. I'd have to borrow here, so that'd be 9. And then that would have been 3, but I had to borrow, so that's 2. All right. So that's it for that. Okay. And then now we've got fractions. Man, they just put all kinds of things in this worksheet. So when you have unlike denominators, what I like to do is sort of like a cross multiply, but not really. You kind of just go, okay, this times this, so that's 25. And this times this is 21. And then I subtract. Okay, so this is the method for this. And then I would multiply here too. All right, and I'm not going to spend too much time on the fractions just because I know they're going to come up later. So if you're not tracking all the way with me on this, that's okay. I'm going to spend plenty of times on fractions when the fractions come up a little bit more later. But I'm just going to multiply bottom right by top left, and then bottom left by top right. And then I can subtract those numbers. 24 minus 5 is 19 over the product of 5 and 3. Okay. And you're just looking at the signs, right? So I know I'm going to have to add if the signs are the same and that sort of thing. All of that stays the same. Here, same thing. That's 5. That's 9. They're both negative, so I'm just going to add those up. I get 14. And then that's 15. But I need to make it negative because I'm adding two negative numbers up. Okay. Over here, this is tricky because 5/3 is bigger than 1/2. Okay, and if it's not obvious, then you want to get the denominators the same first, and then see which number is bigger, and because you always want to subtract the bigger into the littler. So here's what we want to do. We would say we can still do the same method, but we want to be careful here because that's 3 and that's 10, but I'm subtracting, so I want to do 10 minus 3, which is 7. So it's really 7, negative 7, because the 10 was negative. 2 times negative 5, that'd be negative 10. Over 6. Ooh, that was a doozy. On these, it's good to just turn both of them into fractions and then put them together that way. 2 over 1 is the same thing. Actually, we can just do the same method here. We would just do 4 times 2 is 8. 1 times 1, that's negative, so it's 8 minus 1 is 7. And I'd have 7/4. 1 times 4. Here, I don't need to do that same method because I can just multiply 3/2 by 2 over 2. But I'm going to just stick with my guns here and just go with the same method just for simplicity's sake. They're both negative, so I'm going to add. So I get 14, but it's negative. And then 4 times 2 is 8. Now this simplifies. This is the first one that I actually have to simplify. They both divide by 2. So that would be negative 7 over 4, and that would be my final answer. And here are the answers, but let's go ahead and wrap up for today. I hope this was helpful. If it was, go ahead and do a like and subscribe and all the things. And if you haven't gotten the awesome free guide, it's on my website, myersmathematics.com. And I'll see you again in another Algebra 1 worksheet episode.